And what a thrill it is to bring in our guy Chris Sims, who's you are now a regular on the CHGO Bears podcast.
I feel like I am
at the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So we all want to know
if
the Bears finally figured it out. Is this right? Ben Johnson. We got an offensive line coach. We got Dennis Allen. We've got Caleb Williams.
I love it all. I love it all. I really do. I mean, well, this was always the match made in heaven to me. It was Ben Johnson in Chicago. Whether I talked about it before the season on my podcast, Pro Football Talk, whatever. To me, if I was Ben Johnson, I was always like, man, Chicago is where I'd want to go if I were him. And then if I was looking at it from Chicago's standpoint, I was always like, they need a guy like Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, for my money, is the best OC about to be head coach since Shanahan and McVay. That's what I would put it up there. I mean, that's like, it's a no-brainer. His offense is on another level than most people in all of the NFL. It is in the stratosphere of the Shanahans. And in a lot of ways, I would say it's more creative than McVay's. I'm not saying it's necessarily more successful always, but more creative.
Why?
Well, because the formations, the ideas, the little nuanced changes of like how he one week the route kind of looks like this, and then the next week it's very similar, but there's a little nuance or rule change to get the guy open because this defense plays the coverage a little differently this week. Then the way he dresses it up with shifts and formations, and really his guts are the other part of it because he just has no fear. It's attack, attack, attack. Like you don't ever get a play off from the defense. And equally as creative and schematically awesome it is in the pass game, it is also that in the run game. The run game matches it. And that's what makes him amazing is because he can run the ball creatively, big plays, throw the ball for big plays, and then he can run play action pass better than any offensive coordinator maybe in football other than Shanahan right now.
I got to give you credit. Learned. Paul Papps yesterday told him the best question to ask sometimes is why.
You just got it.
You learned. That was awesome.
I mean, the NBC would always tell you, I want to know the why. That's like my boss would go, tell me the why.
Well, that scares Bears fans at times because Matt Nagy, that was his tagline. The why. We got to find out the whys.
Right.
But that's
but he never found them. At least he was trying.
He's finding them in Kansas City just fine.
He's doing all right.
But
he's doing all right.
No, this is the same things Brian Baldinger, we talked to him all season about, like the revolutionary mindset that he has as an offensive play caller. So certainly exciting. So I'm curious from your perspective, what you saw from Caleb Williams in the last year and what he needs to work on to get better here this year.
First off, I saw a lot of good. Okay, a lot of good. We've gotten a little crazy in this world right now where it's like, you want a Heisman, it's your rookie year. You should lead the NFL in touchdowns, yards, and passing and take us to the playoffs, right? It's just like, what? Okay, I know C.J. Stroud had a really good year. I know Jaden Daniels had a really good year. Those are, the team lined up to help them out, too, in those situations. And that didn't happen for Caleb all the way. Now, was he perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, if you guys heard me during the year, even the early part of the year, there was some struggles there. Is he a little greedy at times? That was one thing in the middle part of the season, like, stop patting the ball for the 20-yard out route. The 5-yard under route's open, just throw it to him, and that one will be open later. You don't have to force it to happen right now. Or, like, we don't have to sit in the pocket and just keep sitting there and, like, making people miss and, like, I'm going to make a play with my arm and make it happen that way. Sometimes it's the NFL. And, like, you see Mahomes, you just got to throw it away. You got to avoid the bad play. Those are the things he's got to get better at. I don't think his throwing was up to his capabilities this year either. He missed throws that I go, he's never going to miss that when he just gets a little more comfortable and isn't thinking so much and worried about so many different things. And that's where Ben Johnson's going to just make it all simple for him. He's going to be like, hey, just listen to me. I'm going to draw this play up, and all you got to do is, like, read this guy. And if he goes there, throw it here. And if he goes here, throw it there.
Right.
And he's going to be, all of a sudden, he's going to be like, wow, the game is so much easier for me. And that's what a really good offensive coordinator can do for a young quarterback.
So along those lines, one of the things Ben Johnson talked about right away when he got to Chicago was just the importance of completions. And sometimes this game of football, when you really boil it down, it's like, if you think about what happens on a completion, it very rarely results in a negative play.
Exactly
you could complete it for 2 yards, and at least it wasn't a negative play. And negative plays are what derail drives, which is what Caleb had too many of this past year.
Definitely.
And just as a quarterback, like when you're coming up and, man, all you guys that make it to the league were the man before at some point, high school, college. Like, how hard is that to dial it back and understand that, dude, this is the NFL, and sometimes we just need the simplest of plays.
It's especially when you have like high-end talent. Like, for me, I'm not saying I was worth a damn at quarterback, okay? But my arm was as good as anybody. Like, I got a quote from John Gruden in one of these things I got in my little man cave, and he's like, his arm's better than Brett Favre's, right?
That's right.
Ooh,
right. So
I
I don't know if I believe that, okay? But my arm was good, is all my point is.
But if they say it, you put that in your man cave.
Yeah, you put it, right, exactly right.
This is how he is with tennis.
Right.
We hear it all the
Tattooed
time.
right here.
So my arm was not stronger than Brett Favre's, but I did have a strong arm. But to your point and what that is, and yes, even with like the great running quarterback usually has to deal with it. Well, I just look at one receiver and I ran after that every time. It always worked. Well, it's the NFL. That's not going to work. And in the NFL, for great throwers, sometimes you're not going to be able to fit the ball into every window and just make it happen. Or, I can do it sidearm. I always did that at USC or blah, 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 and this will happen here. No, the defensive linemen and the linebackers are smart in the NFL. They're watching that sidearm, and they tip it. Now the ball's in the air and all that. So there's just so much more that can happen, and completions are big. I mean, damn, I used to watch Brady and the Patriots and go, he didn't throw a ball past 5 yards until the second quarter, right? They just dialed up one screen and short pass after another, and they get you defending that, and he's in rhythm, and they're not taking negative plays, and then all of a sudden the big plays happen. This damn guy we're going to watch on Sunday, 15 in red, you can't play zone against him right now. This is going to be one of the things with this game in Philadelphia. Philadelphia loves zone. If they play zone, he is going to surgically destroy them if they do it too much. Because he learned from his Buck Super Bowl where he was looking for the big play, right?
Yep.
Now he takes that, and that's where he's a machine.
Doing incredible work alongside Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live, Chris Sims dominating. Where do you think Myles Garrett goes? Should the Bears throw their hat in the ring here?
They were one team that I thought about when I first saw it. It's early, and I think this is going to be more of a thing that we're going to have a better feel for at the Combine when people kind of start to worry about next year a little bit more. The agents have their little secret talks and the chatter, and it'll get whittled down to 5 or 6 teams that you'll know are like, they're kind of serious. The Bears are certainly a team that I looked at was like, the Bears are close. You don't need a whole lot of players. I mean, really position for position. We know the O-line can maybe be a little bit better. We maybe need another receiver in the group, right? But like pass rush, you do that with this defense and Dennis Allen, man. I mean, that defense has got some talent at really all 3 levels that he would take it to another level.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds – yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. You got 3 picks in the top 41. How many are you willing to give up Myles Garrett for?
Well, you're going to have to give up 2 first-rounders for Myles Garrett. Like, we're
talking Khalil Mack trade all over.
Yeah,
again.
I'm going to say probably a little less than Khalil Mack, just because Myles at least has 2 years left on his contract. Now, does he want an extension and all that? That'll be something there. But the Khalil Mack thing, I don't think it'll be that expensive. I think we're talking 2, like. Khalil was 2 first, a third, and a fifth, something like that.
They also got a second-round pick.
You got a second-round pick back, and like another player, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, going out was 2 first, a third, and a sixth.
Right,
and then they got that's right on the 5th round pick.
The second-round pick came back a couple years later.
Yeah, it was something like that. It's something like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be something similar to that. But I would say just 2 firsts and probably just 1 other pick along with it.
So, personnel, check.
Right.
Coaching, play calling, check. But I think one of the bigger things for the Bears this year was culture. And the players talked a lot about needing tough coaching.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious from your perspective, like how important it is not just for Ben Johnson to create that culture, but for the players to try to get that right themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, the players always got to own it to a degree. There's got to be somebody in the locker room that's like the grown-ass man of the group. And like, damn, it's time to work. And if we don't, he's gonna be pissed and call some people out. Any good locker room I was ever in had a few of those guys, right? Like when I was in Tampa, I got the year after they won the Super Bowl, right? And I was like, damn, they're this intense at practice, like Rondé Barber and Sapp and Derek Brooks. And damn, if the offense doesn't do good, they make fun of us and mother F us. And like they keep on everybody, right? So that is important. The players, you got to have some people there. But the coaches, like that, they instill it, and they make it an environment of like no nonsense, and we got to work. And anything I don't know Ben Johnson all that well. I know some people up in Detroit who've always told me things about him, and other people he's been around. But everybody up in Detroit fits that type of culture. I don't think Dan Campbell has anybody up there that's like, I can't lead men. I just lead the choir. I don't know how to do this. Like everybody up there has kind of got his mantra, And I think it is going to be very much in your face, detailed, professional, no nonsense. And Dennis Allen, for everything I know about him too, he's a lot like that too.
Yep.
It's cutthroat. So I love that. And, of course, you're going to have to be like that in that division right now.
And you bring in Eric Bieniemy, who has that reputation.
Oh, that's the reason he didn't get a head coaching job for a while, because
right.
he was telling owners, like, no, screw you, you're wrong.
Right. So, and then I also think it's very telling that Antoine Randall and JT Barrett follow Ben Johnson over from the Detroit staff, guys that are younger.
Right.
Antoine Randall, we've seen be very animated on the sidelines.
Definitely.
So I think that's going to help to the culture as well.
Definitely. You got to have the offsprings, the underlings, right? I wouldn't be shocked if, there's a few free agents from Detroit who also end up in your locker room, right? So they can convey the message of like, no, this is how we do things. This is why we were good in Detroit.
Yep.
This is how when coach is really riding you like this, it means he likes you, right? He wants more out of you. It's not a bad thing. And you need some of those messengers in the locker room, no matter who the coaching staff is.
One of the great things about Chris is he goes button all the way to the top.
Unbutton the podcast.
Chris Sims unbuttoned, right?
I've always noticed that.
That's my look. That's my look. I've done it really since I was a kid. I was a little self-conscious in high school how long my neck was. So I started to I don't like the way it looks. And then I got on TV, and I didn't like how sometimes the collar would just be a little messy, and I was just like, I'm not doing that anymore.
See, I do it for different. I have a quarter zip, a lot of quarter zips, and I zip it all the way up. But that's because I'm fat, and that helps me.
But I'm gonna say I do a quarter zip too, and I zip it all the way up too. I'm just anything I have is going all the way up.
It's got that little European look to it.
I got one off the board question to wrap this thing up. So the NFL's on 17,000 streaming services now. We're playing on Christmas Day. We're playing on Monday. We're playing on Sunday. We're playing on Wednesday. Where do you think the next level they try to squeeze more money out of the NFL fans out there? Or are we ever going to kind of go back the other way?
Well, they're a little bit like the mafia, so they're always going to squeeze money out of anything. I mean, I work for NBC. We got a great deal. They squeeze you. They squeeze you. They don't care who you are, right? This is the way they are. They got a product that's king in America right now. But I don't know about squeezing out. The 18-game season is going to happen here soon, so that's going to be another thing. The other thing, too, that they prove that they can do, and as a fan, I want it. Like, I want a game every day of the week. Who cares? We saw during COVID. We can play on Tuesday. They can figure out how to play a team Tuesday, and then maybe they play the next Thursday, or they play Tuesday, and then they don't play till the next Sunday, whatever. We've got enough technology and ways to figure out the schedule to have people play every night of the week, really, basically. I'm not saying maybe we don't need Wednesday, but like Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday, I think that's where it could go a little bit.
I'm with you. I mean, I always say,
what else you got to do on a Tuesday night?
I'm part of the problem. I mean, you're going to put a game on, I'm going to watch it.
I'm watching it 100%. I mean, I'm like tortured right now. I'm like, what the hell do I do on a Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday right now?
That's why I'm watching TGL golf
exactly,
right now. Okay, something's on now.
Now, slow down, guys, because this reminds me of like when I get drunk on the Bears at training camp. Like, you guys are getting a little crazy here.
Right.
To me, isn't part of the allure like that, how it's all jammed in the weekend, like the anticipation when you do it across.
I work all day Sunday. I know watch all the games. Put them on during the week so I can watch them.
We love it on a level that maybe others might
Why
not
do
meet.
we have to have 7 games at 1 p.m. Eastern? That is the dumbest shit ever. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I did.
No, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely can.
It's
a great thing about
That's what I don't like. That I want to be able to digest a few more games one by one. The fact that sometimes, and like we're in the business, and I do a highlight show and on my podcast Sunday night where I got to recap the game. Man, Sunday at 1 is the most stressful time. I write pages of notes because I'm trying to keep up with little nuances of the game. Oh, this was a turning point. Don't forget about this moment, blah, blah, blah. And why jam them all there and not be able to watch it when they can make more money and put them on an individual station? And like you said, we're watching.
I personally feel sick inside. Like, we don't need this every night, but I think it's exactly where it's going.
Well, and speaking of, like, the NFL and the growth, we were in London last year for the Bears game.
Right.
Do you ever think that a team will permanently be in London? How close
they
are we
want
to
to make it happen? They're trying, right? And I think
Roger
Goodell
said
even
that
talked yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And anybody you talk to high up in the NFL world will tell you that's on their radar. I don't know how they figure that out. Right? So many guys in the NFL as it is already are like, I can't believe I got to leave my family and where I grew up and move 3 states over, right? They're like, but now you're going to make me live in London and I'm not going to see grandma and grandpa anymore. And they're not. People aren't going to love that. How do they figure out the salary cap with the pound and the dollar? There's issues there. The scheduling, of course, is a big deal. Would I love to see the London Redcoats play the New England Patriots in an AFC's back? Yes, that would be amazing, right? You'd be like, oh my gosh,
the British
they're
are
coming back again to take over the Boston Harbor. But I think it's a little ways off.
The Redcoats. Hey, Chris, we appreciate it. We already got you booked for 2026 in
Lock it in
the Bay.
Yep.
NBC Sports Pro Football Talk Live. The podcast is
Chris Sims unbuttoned.
Unbuttoned,
Right.
baby. Hook 'em horns, by the way.
Hook 'em horns.
Yeah.